So, you're ready to start planning your first safari in South Africa, but don't quite know where to begin. It can be very, very overwhelming with all the game reserves and lodges on offer. So, in this video, I'm going to give you the 5 best game reserves for your first safari in South Africa and all the reasons why and some lodge options. So, let's get stuck into it. I'm Evan from Nala Africa Tours and Safaris. And spoiler alert, they are all in the Greater Kruger National Park area. Now, some of you might disagree. Please let us know, what are your favorite game reserves in South Africa? Leave us a comment below. I would love to know if you've had some experience in South Africa on safari. But for us, the main point as to why the Greater Kruger has the 5 best game reserves in South Africa is more to do with how expansive the wilderness area there is in the Greater Kruger National Park. It is over 30,000 square kilometers of wilderness area, unfenced wilderness area. And for us, that just translates into a very authentic and wild experience where the animals are able to move freely. You know, there's natural migration routes. Animals are able to move in and out of these reserves as they please, no fences in between them. So that is the main reason why I think it's authenticity. There are a few other phenomenal game reserves in South Africa that are right up there with these. So please don't disregard the rest of South Africa for your safari, namely Pinda in KwaZulu-Natal province, Madikwe in Northwest province, both sensational game reserves, also offering an incredible big 5 safari where you're really going to see an abundance of wildlife. But for us, it's more to do with the wilderness area. But let us know in the comments below what you think, of course. So another couple of reasons why we think the Greater Kruger is the top wildlife destination in South Africa. It's also quite possibly your best chance of seeing the big 5 whilst you're on safari. That's rhino, elephant, buffalo, leopard and lions. Especially leopards in this area. So some other areas in South Africa will struggle to see leopards. They are a little bit shyer in other areas. In the Greater Kruger, they are known as being much more relaxed with people and vehicles. So you have a much better chance of seeing leopards and ticking off the big 5 if that's what you are keen to do on safari. And often first-time safari goers are keen to tick off those big 5 animals, those high-profile animals. But there is an abundance of animals in the Greater Kruger National Park. There's lots of wild dogs as well, hyenas, cheetah, giraffe, zebra, all the plains game, warthogs. There's just, such an abundance of wildlife, but leopards definitely are much more prolific in this area. And then there's also a high level of hospitality in the Greater Kruger National Park. Of course, we make sure we work with lodges and game reserves that are have a very high level of hospitality to ensure our guests have the most incredible experience possible. And then it's also easily accessible from Johannesburg and Cape Town. You can either fly into Skukuza Airport for Sabi Sands or Hoedspruit Eastgate Airport for Timbavati, Thornybush, Klaserie, Manyeleti, those game reserves a little bit more north. Very, very accessible. Most reserves are game lodges are about an hour or so drive from those airports. So really, really accessible and convenient. And then the wildlife viewing is also really, really ethical in this area. And in Africa as a whole, it's known as being a very ethical area, and South Africa in general is very ethical in terms of their wildlife viewing. We're talking 2 or 3 vehicles at a sighting as to not overcrowd the animals, just making sure the animals are still existing as natural a life as possible without encroaching too much on their environment and their natural behavior. Just professional guides at the highest level, taking guests around, really educating them, sharing their knowledge with them, and respecting the wildlife. And that's what we're all about. We really, at the end of the day, just want the wildlife to still be living as natural in existence as possible. And we are just visitors into their environment, kind of with a window into their daily lives, without causing too much disruption. So love that the wildlife viewing there is very, very ethical in the area, and it's the most famous area for a reason. The Greater Kruger National Park is by far the most famous area for safari in South Africa, and it's for good reason. It does really tick all of the boxes for a phenomenal safari experience where you're going to see an abundance of wildlife, and the hospitality is fantastic, accommodations at a high level, and to be honest, the value for money is also really, really exceptional in South Africa. So those are the reasons why the Greater Kruger National Park. I'm going to go through each game reserve with you, and then I'm also going to give you a few of our favorite lodges that we work with in each area. So I feel like I'm almost about to spill the beans on some safari, some really valuable safari information. But please do me a favor and still come to us when you are planning your first safari in South Africa or another safari in South Africa, because what we do offer is we offer lodge and game reserve recommendations. We're making sure that you're getting the best value for your money, making sure that you're getting an experience that is catered to you, it's personalized, you're going to get the most out of it, it's going to suit you perfectly. We also like to treat our guests to a few special locally crafted gifts, just to make their stay that much more special, and this comes at no extra cost to you. So we don't take agent fees at this point. We just really trying to make sure our guests get the best value for their money, getting the best experience suited perfectly to them, a few treats along the way. So please do reach out. I'm about to give you some really, really good information about safari in South Africa, specifically Greater Kruger. But reach out if you'd like recommendations specific to you, your family, or friends. And we'd be happy to, or we would be honored to plan your first safari in South Africa for you. All right, so without further ado, number one for good reason, the Sabi Sands Game Reserve. Now, the Sabi Sands Game Reserve is 65,000 hectares, a large area, and some have described it as the best place on earth to fill up your camera card with big 5 sightings in the shortest amount of time. Most notable, as I mentioned before, would be the usually shy and elusive leopard, which almost seem to be around each corner in the Sabi Sands. And due to decades of habituation, they're incredibly relaxed in the presence of vehicles, giving guests outstanding opportunities to view them up close and for extended amounts of time. So you really cannot rave enough about leopard sightings in the Sabi Sands, although all the other high-profile animals are really prolific in the area. Lions all day long, every day. Elephants, rhino, buffalo, and then your wild dogs. Cheetah can be a little bit more difficult, but still a decent chance of seeing cheetah. Hyenas all over. Of course, just the giraffe, zebra, and plains game everywhere. Just the abundance of wildlife in the Sabi Sands is actually quite staggering, and to have a leopard sighting around each corner just takes it to another level. This is undoubtedly the top wildlife destination in South Africa. So it's number one for good reason. The accommodation and hospitality in the Sabi Sands is absolutely world class in general, but prices do tend to be a little bit higher due to its fame and popularity, but it's for good reason. It is justified that those prices are a bit higher. So just keep that in mind. But well worth it, we think. To get into the Sabi Sands, you're going to be flying into Skukuza Airport, and for the southern side of the Sabi Sands, and then for northern side, you're going to be flying into Hoedspruit Eastgate Airport, although most lodges do offer shuttle and charter flights to their private or to their airstrips. They often, a few lodges will share airstrips, so you can get there very, very conveniently from Johannesburg or Cape Town. And then a few of our favorites in the area there: Mala Mala Game Reserve, of course, Londolozi Game Reserve, Dulini Game Reserve, Singita Boulders and Ebony, Simbambili Safari Lodge, and then Notton's Bush Camp. Those are just some of our favorites. And, one more, Aratusa Safari Lodge. So those are just some of our favorites in the area. All right, number 2 on the list, the Manyeleti Game Reserve. 24,000 hectares in size, so a bit smaller than the Sabi Sands, although lodge density in this area is extremely low. So it's going to feel very, very wild out there. It's sandwiched between the Sabi Sands, Kruger, and the Timbavati. So you know the wildlife is going to be incredible in the Manyeleti. It's most well known for its brilliant wildlife sightings, especially. And the game drives have a traversing area of 24,000 hectares. So the whole game reserve in its entirety, you are able to traverse, which is a huge traversing area. Obviously, with the lodge density being low, the vehicle density is very low as well. So you're not kind of fighting over sightings with other vehicles and tourists. It's very quiet out there. And yeah, you can enjoy sightings for an extended amount of time because you're not having to make way for other vehicles coming in. So that's one huge benefit of being in the Manyeleti, is the low vehicle and lodge density. One negative to mention is that the main roads are open to the public, although there is a very good private road network as well. So your guards will be able to keep you off the main roads. You will have to go on the main roads sometimes, so just be aware that there might be public vehicles on the main roads, although it still is a very quiet reserve in general, so you're not seeing too many vehicles, but that's definitely something just to note. And then the landscape and vegetation is quite beautifully varied. Huge dam in the middle, right in the middle of the reserve, and a lot of lions kind of fighting over this really like prime territory in the Greater Kruger National Park. And so for the Manyeleti, you're going to be flying into Hoedspruit Eastgate Airport to reach the reserve in about an hour and a half. And some of our favorite lodges in the Manyeleti, Tinswalo Safari Lodge, as well as Tinswalo Manor House. And then the 2 Honeyguard camps, Honeyguard Mantubeni Camp and Honeyguard Kokomoya Camp. That is the Manyeleti. Number 3 on the list, the Timbavati Game Reserve. 53,000 hectares, another huge game reserve. And the Timbavati is home to the famous white lion pride that sometimes frequent the area. So, very healthy lion populations in general, also known for its very good lion sightings. It's a beautiful, beautiful reserve. And also has a decent lodge to area ratio, so not too packed full of lodges, and it's a little bit quieter on drive, and the lodges here adhere to a very high ethical wildlife viewing practices. So really restricting the number of vehicles at each sighting, not pushing the animals at all. We love that. It's really, they've got some very strict rules in place to make sure everyone's adhering to those rules and those high ethics in the area. And 53,000 hectares of some of Africa's most pristine wilderness. And what makes it really special, it has a very good balance of abundant wildlife, but coupled with a low density of lodges and vehicles. And then some of our favorites in the area, Tanda Tula Safari Camp, Umlani Bush Camp, Timbavati River Lodge, Timbavati Hilltop Camp, and then Ngala and beyond Ngala Tented Camp. So check out those lodges if you're interested in the Timbavati. Number 4, Thornybush Game Reserve. Now Thornybush, much smaller than the others, 14,000 hectares. It's located just to the west of the Timbavati, but also without fences obstructing the Timbavati through to the Timbavati and to Kruger National Park. It's not obstructing the flow of wildlife between all the reserves. And Thornybush definitely feels a little bit more action-packed. Maybe it's because it's smaller and there's a few more lodges and vehicles out there finding wildlife sightings, it does feel like you're just kind of bouncing from sighting to sighting to sighting. Very, very action-packed, so you're going to see a lot of wildlife in the Thornybush. And the good news is that the guiding is very, very professional in this area as well, so they are able to keep you away from vehicles. Yeah, and it's also limited to 3 vehicles per sighting there. So it does still feel exclusive, with the very, very abundant wildlife sightings, high ethics. The game viewing is really sensational. And just to note, that's the major difference between that and the Timbavati and Manyeleti. Much more action-packed, a few more vehicles and lodges around. Lions are very common to see on the reserve, as well as wild dogs, hyena, and all the other high-profile animals. You're definitely going to expect to see the big 5 there if you're staying for a few days. And the reserve, the lodges on the reserve are able to traverse pretty much that entire area of 14,000 hectares. And then some of our favorites on this reserve, some really, really great lodges here. Serondela Safari Lodge, Thornybush Game Lodge, Sasega Tented Camp, Royal Malewan, and Shimungwe Game Lodge. Then, number 5, the last one on the list, Klaserie Game Reserve. 60,000 hectares, another huge game reserve. Now, Klaserie has the lowest lodge and vehicle density of these reserve options, which creates a very slow and authentic, exclusive and wild safari experience. The only drawback being that the wildlife sightings won't be as action-packed as the others. So Thornybush, much smaller, lots of lodges and vehicles, really action-packed with everyone finding sightings all over the place. Klaserie, a much more slower safari. Some people do really enjoy that. Finding your own sightings, perhaps. Fewer vehicles out there, but still filling up your camera cards with big 5 sightings in... if you're staying for a couple of days, you should expect to see the big 5. Leopard would be probably the biggest struggle, but I'd say if you've got a week in the Klaserie, you should definitely see a leopard, although we don't guarantee anything. But you should still expect to see the big 5, although you may just need a little bit more time, a few extra days than the other reserves. Of course, anything can happen in the bush. So it will just come down to your personal preference of travel style. Of course, huge reserve, 60,000 hectares, and now, unfenced. It's more of a new endeavor as compared to the other reserves. It was formerly mostly private-owned land, and lodges have now been commercialized and offered to the public. So, there are really more and more world-class lodge options popping up. Some really stunning lodges popping up in the Klaserie. So some of our favorites at the moment are Timbavati Waterside Lodge, Shanatseni Private Camp, The Last Word Katara, Makumu Private Game Lodge, and then Katega Safari Lodge. So those are the 5 best game reserves in South Africa for your first safari. According to us at Nala Africa Safaris, it's more of a personal and professional preference, I think, just to the vastness of the wilderness area and its authenticity that it brings to the safari experience. Of course, your Pinda in KwaZulu-Natal province, phenomenal as well. You're going to fill up your camera cards full of big 5 sightings there as well. Madikwe as well. Just world-class safari experiences, not taking anything away from them. Even Kondwe in the Eastern Cape, same caliber as well. It's just due to the very, very expansive wilderness area there in the Greater Kruger. And it's just a place that is nostalgic to us. It's just such a special place. Maybe it's because we are also located and born and raised in KwaZulu-Natal province, so we might take KwaZulu-Natal for granted a little bit, but we do love that Pinda Munywana Game Reserve in KwaZulu-Natal, along with a few other game reserves. But yeah, the Greater Kruger just really holds a special place in our hearts and our minds, and our memories. So yeah, let us know what you think about that. Do you agree that all of them should be in the Greater Kruger? Is there another one you would put above, say, Klaserie or Thornybush or Timbavati or Manyeleti? Or would you put something above the Sabi sands? Let us know in the comments below. Is bigger always better in terms of reserve size for you? The benefit of having a fenced-in reserve, although it's less authentic, is you sometimes do often see more wildlife because it's easier to find the wildlife as they are restricted. They can't move away from you. So, yeah, sometimes you'll come to a game reserve in KwaZulu-Natal and really see a lot of wildlife, but it is obviously restricted in terms of the reserve size. And then, have you been anywhere else in South Africa? We'd love to know, what did you think of the safari experience in South Africa compared to other African countries? Would love to know that. And then, what is your favorite game reserve or game lodge in South Africa? Please let us know in the comments. We'd love your feedback. So yeah, thanks for listening, and yeah, please reach out to us if you are ready to start planning your safari, if you need some lodge recommendations or anything like that. We are happy to share and would be honored to plan your first safari in South Africa or your return safari in South Africa. All right, until next time, guys, thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Cheers.